Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Build Your Team Show. As always, I'm Atiba, and I'm today with a guy who is all about growth. Now, y'all know I love growth, right? And he talks about growing your show, but Adam, we're going to start off talking about growing our teams. And as always, Build Your Team is brought to you by Client Attraction Pros. Hey, it's time that you become the thought leader of your industry, and we're going to help you do that and make it fast, easy, and fun.
Let's let it sink in. So many of us, especially brand new entrepreneurs, or even entrepreneurs that have been doing it for even many years, but they became a solopreneur, they need to get back to reading Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Rich Dad, Poor Dad says you need to make as much money as you can in your business as possible by leveraging other people's time. And I'll put as much of that money into investments as you can, real estate, stocks, or whatever. And so when he's talking about this, he's talking about you being the leader, not being the worker. You don't want to basically hire yourself. So the takeaway here is when you are stuck doing all of the work, when you're the operator, you're the accountant, and you're the marketing team, and you're all of these other parts, I'm sorry, but first and foremost, none of it gets done that well. You might try to say that you're amazing at all of this stuff, but none of it gets done that well. But secondarily, we need to free our minds. So if we want to be a real visionary, we ought to be spending lots of times thinking. I want to go back to a movie that I think I watched. I don't even remember the name of it right now, but it has something to do with the big collapse in the economy in 2006, 7, 8, 9. Okay. And there's this guy who's just a genius who never really works. He never really is tasked on a project. He's just always studying, becoming the best person that he can, reading books, learning, growing. And this guy, he found out that, there was going to be a market crash. And so he went against the market. He ended up making billions of dollars, right? Just so much insane money. If that guy had to sit there doing all these tasks, he never would have thought of the idea that made him billions. Same thing with me. If I was the one doing all of the work for all of my companies, or when I was the one doing all of my work for all of my companies, I was barely scraping by. Right. Some companies would pay me $5,000 1 month and then nothing for a few months. And then the other company would pay me a few hundred every single month, pretty regularly. And another company, I might make 40 grand once a year, and just plus you have to pay all this stuff. But with all of that, I learned that once I started having my first virtual assistant, then my second and third, it didn't change completely overnight from going from $5,000 a month to $50,000 a month. It didn't change completely overnight like that. But at the end of the year, I had probably 12 employees, and I made my first $600,000 in 1 year that I was able to net and put on my taxes. And it only came by letting myself focus on other things and change directions and pivot. And when I worked less, I went to the gym more. When I went to the gym more, I drank less alcohol. When I drank less alcohol, I was nicer to my kids. When I was nicer to my kids, I had a better relationship with my kids and their mother. When I had a better relationship with their kids and their mother, I felt even better about myself. And all of these things kind of turn into where you are doing great in all aspects of life because you only have to work 4 hours to maybe 20 hours in a week versus you have to work 40, 60, 80, 100, or even 120 hours in a week. You're going to find that you have a lot more to give to your team. You have a lot more to give to your client. You have a lot more to give to your spouse or your partner and your kids if you've got them, to your fitness, to your health, and and out of nowhere, you've become something completely different. You've become the person you've always wanted to be. You are achieving the things that you always wanted to show that you could achieve, and you knew that you could achieve. But it takes the leap of faith. You got to jump out of the plane first.
And as always, Build Your Team is brought to you by Client Attraction Pros. Hey, it's time that you become the thought leader of your industry, and we're going to help you do that and make it fast, easy, and fun.